All right. So for training today, we're going to follow up from last week. So last week we walked through the presentation that we walk through with folks when we sit down with them for an initial presentation. So last week I kind of ended up going through the whole first half. So if we look at the presentation we walked through with folks, the first half would be talking in general about who WealthWave is, but then also what we do for our clients and how we help folks in financial education. And so today would be walking through the second half and what it would look like for talking about our E to E movement and what it means to expand our team, bring people on board with us, and kind of talking about the recruiting side of what we do. But before I do that, I want to kind of open the floor up a little bit because Tyson was just talking about our business model, and what I'll say is, speaking for myself first and foremost is I don't do a whole lot of recruiting. That's not really a main focus of mine. Mine is more focused on the client side. And I think there's multiple reasons for that. But I think more than anything is it's just not a major priority for me, or I don't want to say it that way. Maybe it's just not the foremost of my desire. It's more of building clients, but our business model is designed for both. And so I guess for maybe the other guys on the call, kind of wanted to open up, what's been your experience with bringing people on board or your thought process? What's maybe hindered you from talking to more people about it? Or, what should we be thinking of when we do sit down with folks on how to identify who might be a potential good fit?
Well, I recently brought a guy on I'm not too sure about yet, but no, honestly, man, I think it's just having a genuine conversation. It's kind of like sometimes when you say you meet the one you're supposed to be with or whatever, right? When you meet your 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 wife someday, like maybe you're not out looking, right? It just happens, and it's supposed and those things happen organically. Um, but it's sharing what just sharing what my path has been, the reason why I decided to make a career move um, at the time when I was 35 years old, and a big emphasis on that is the things that we get to do together as a squad. So that's kind of how I go about it and what I think is important.
Okay. I like it. So you're showing your public love for Don, is that right? You're
Yes.
meant to be a couple. No, I really like what you said because I know for me, I'll speak for myself. I really overthink it at times. I went to school for finance. Like I knew, kind of going into college, this was the industry I wanted to join. So I think I typically look at this from more of a financial advisor perspective, and that's what I don't want to do. What I do is not financial advising, it's financial education. It's so many other things than that. And so I think I kind of get stuck in that mindset of, well, I wanted to be a financial advisor, so that's why I'm here. But I'm here for many, many different reasons. And I like what you said of, doing stuff as a team. We're part of a mission and crusade, and we're also trying to have fun and be a family. And it's in an environment that I think other people would want to be part of if they knew they knew the environment we had and what we're doing. And it's really that, just letting them know what we have, and if they would be want to be part of that, then we can talk further. So it can be simple as that. Ryan, were you wanting to add something?
Yeah, I mean, double down on what you guys just said. I think my default or approach to recruiting is wanting to maybe find people that are already entered the industry, um, because I feel like a strength of mine is knowing, how other life insurance agents or even advisors get going, and I know how to poke holes in other business models, just having studied the industry. So I'm not necessarily saying that's right, wrong, or indifferent, but I tend to default to like finding somebody who's already maybe has a license and You know, those can be some bigger swings because you're needing to kind of help that person almost unlearn and undrink whatever Kool-Aid they've already consumed. You know, not saying it can't be done, but that's just kind of my experience of having, you know, taken some at bats with some people. But Joe is spot on. Like, you know, we have to not overcomplicate this. You know, think of somebody that you would want to have over on your house on a Friday night and have a drink with. You know, make sure that this person is going to be of high integrity. You know, I too, I need to get better at it. I need to put more focus on it, all the above. So as a team, I can certainly, you know, do better, to complement all that.
Yeah, I like it. And ultimately, I think what the mindset should be is less of, do I think they want to be part of our team? It's more or less, I think step one is this is who we are. This is, walking through what would be the second part of the presentation here, and simply filtering people in or out. Because, when I sit down with folks and share this presentation, um, some people might say, "Hey, actually, I'm interested in that." I've had people say, "Hey, the whole client stuff, get it, let's do it." But actually, I really hate my job, or I am looking for a change. Or the person that you think might be a fit says, "I don't want to do that." And so we don't know. And so I think there's kind of a couple like qualifiers. One is, share this information with them. But then two, like what Ryan said, do you feel like you'd feel comfortable spending time with them, having dinner on a Friday night? Like, do you actually want to be friends with these people?
So just to to highlight it at the end here before before you transition into what else you're going to talk about, Alec. Um, when Don and I got together and had lunch, Don, can we hear from you quickly about just what made you want to give this a try? What made you, outside of your general interest in, because you have some general interest in finance and how things work and how money works. And so, but what was it about, whether it was your and I conversation or maybe us as a firm and what WealthWave stands for, that excited you?
Yeah, absolutely. So to me, it was a lot of the ideals behind the firm, the mission. It's not, we're just trying to make people money. We're trying to educate a sector of the population that, doesn't really get help. They're kind of floating in the middle. They're not getting government assistance, but they're not rich enough to do whatever they want, whenever they want. So they're kind of overlooked. And that crusade of helping others really sparked an interest in me. And then the method you go about achieving that goal through bringing people on with somewhat flexible, yeah, negotiations and terms, and kind of they don't have to make that huge jump. They can dip their feet, but if they want to dive head in and swim, then there's no restriction, it seems, either. So
Like it.
So I just got to say, like, that kind of sounds like something that we've all probably heard it said before, huh? Wagner and Alec,
Yeah.
we've heard that, right? We've said that to ourselves, and that's where I just go back to, hey, I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here. Some will, some won't. So what? Just got to keep
Yeah.
telling the story. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, radio.
Cool. All right. Well, let me share my screen here and I'll jump into the presentation. So, all right. So we've walked through the client side with folks, and kind of like a subtle plug that I'll make to people at the transition. I say, hey, on the client side, our goal and our dream is to service as many people as physically possible. So one, I can't do that alone, but two, and more importantly, in order to do that, we're going to need to expand. And so, we are looking to grow. We can't do this on our own. So the first half of our presentation is for as many people as we can possibly help. We want to make that very well known. We are for profit. We are looking to, make profitable and successful businesses. But then the second half of what we do isn't necessarily for everybody. So, Mr. and Mrs. Prospect, maybe you are not interested in leaving your current career. Maybe you're completely satisfied. You're not looking for anything extra, and that's okay. But you won't know about this if I don't share it with you. So I want to tell you a little bit about why we're looking to grow and give you kind of the case for why everyone that we sit down with should know about that part of our business. So the second half of what I talked to you about is what we call our E to E movement, or employee to entrepreneur. So when we sit down with folks, we've come to realize that a lot of people from really COVID on have become more open to the idea of entrepreneurship. More people have been dissatisfied with a boss, and they're looking to buy back some time, looking to buy back the opportunity to be their own boss. And it comes in a number of different shapes and sizes. So over half of Americans are actively looking to change jobs. And so when I sit down with folks and when I talk with clients, some people say, hey, they want to, maybe they're an engineer currently and they want to move from one company to another company, and that's okay. That's included here. But I think there's a lot of folks that say, hey, you know what? I'm not really excited about being an employee anymore. There's a lot of aspects to being an employee that aren't really fitting what I'm wanting to do anymore. And because of that, I'm looking for a way that I can maybe become my own boss, have a little more control of my time, income, schedule, all of that, and have a lot more flexibility in my life and my family. And so what I want you to know is our company has a model for expansion. We're looking to grow. We actively need more folks. What I like to, paint the picture of is we don't sit at our desk waiting for people to come to us. We need to meet people where they're at. And because of that, I can't service people in other towns and states and parts of the country just waiting for them to call me or find me. And because of that, if I want to help people in Indiana, it would be more beneficial for them, the people in that area, and also for everyone involved to have someone represent our company in that area. And so, depending on the person, I would cater it to them. Hey, you're in the Grand Rapids, Grand Rapids, Michigan area. I'm looking for people that are in that area of the state of Michigan that can be part of our mission. So maybe you have a friend, coworker, family member in that area that might have an interest or a desire to, add on a second stream of income or leave the current career path that they're on. That's why we're looking to expand. So what is it about entrepreneurship that is so intriguing to people? Regardless of the industry, I think ultimately the couple words are: one, control, but then two, the freedom to say no. I know when I was in college and looking at my career paths, I did not want the idea of having to work for somebody, having to get permission to take time off of work. And I think most folks are in a stage of life and a recognition of the potential that they can say no to those things. And so not having to schedule time to go on vacation or go to their kids' baseball games or spend time with their family, they don't have to worry about fulfilling quotas if they're in a sales role or some type of position. They don't have any of those requirements. They are completely in control of their time, talent, and ability to schedule and make money how they see fit for their family. I think a lot of folks are really becoming more and more open to that. But how do we channel it? Where do we channel it? That's dependent on the person. Some people have a very unique and niche interest and desire where they would want to go. But I think most people are really open-minded to, at the end of the day, just finding a way that they can go and make an immediate impact. And there's a couple industries that people typically fall into. And the biggest one and most common one is what I would say is in real estate. I know a lot of folks, and you probably do as well, that enter the real estate industry. They want to become a realtor. They say, hey, I can become my own boss. I can control my schedule and make some money. But what I do, when I think about what we're looking at here, this is showing the three biggest industries in our country, and in fact, this says in the world, but what money is actually generated from these specific industries and what's the impact that they can make, and money that could be made from being in that industry. And you can obviously financial is far surpassing number two and number three. But what is it that someone's intrigued with most? What are their reasons for wanting to go into a certain industry or wanting to get into entrepreneurship will help us kind of determine where would be best. And so when sitting down with somebody, I like to let them know and make this frame of reference of where our industry is at and where maybe real estate, or depending on the person we're sitting down with, cater it to them. But in our industry, we're kind of in a really unique hinge point where I think there's a lot of opportunity to be made in the next 8 to 10 years. For instance, I would say the average age of an advisor in our industry is about 60 years old. Most people are on the verge of getting ready to retire. So if we were to come back here 10 years from now, I think nearly 40% of our industry would be retired or on the way out. And so in order for us to continue to fill this, we need that many more people coming into the industry. But we have a big issue with that I'll cover in a future slide, that most companies in our industry are not built for your success. And most are not built for lasting advisors to stay around long term. But we have a humongous need for what we do, and where we fit into the industry is most people don't know what money is and how it works. And so we have the ability to make a large impact of educating most folks that are going to then inherit this money or come into money as time progresses. A lot of that is going to be recurring. A lot of that is going to be clients that you can maintain and retain, where comparatively speaking with real estate or retail, a lot of that is very transaction based. And so it's constantly needing to make moves. It's very dependent on external factors within the market that a realtor can't control, where a lot of that we can control or we can work around. If interest rates go up for a mortgage loan, it will disincentivize someone from buying a house. And all of a sudden, your inventory might diminish to next to nothing. Meanwhile, that is completely internally managed within our industry. If that hurts in one place, it's going to help in another. And so we are constantly in a cycle of being able to move money and manage money for a lot of folks. Does not depend on the market. So there's a massive need here in our industry. So I just said there's a lot of folks kind of coming into money. So you can see we've got three different generations here: the baby boomers, Gen Xers, and millennials. A lot of folks are either coming into money, they're needing to catch up, or they're getting ready to live on their life savings and even pass that on. And so the people that are in the baby boomer generation, they're retiring. We're on the kind of tail end of a few remaining years of about 10 to 11,000 people turning 65 every single day. And so those are people retiring every single day or coming into their retirement years. I would say that the majority of them do not have a defined plan of what we talked about earlier with that 7 money milestone process. How many of them could we sit down with and make an immediate plan for how they can get into retirement, make money? Those are people that we need to sit down with. We don't have a list generated. So if you have someone coming into business with us, we're going to be able to work together with them, and they will probably have relationships and people in their community that need that help. The Gen Xers, those are people that are kind of halfway through their working career. I would say the majority of the people that I sit down with fall into that generation. Kids are getting to the point where they're getting out of the house, and these folks are becoming empty nesters. They're on the verge of, their final working decade, and they're realizing they were either behind, they never started, or they need to severely catch up. So those people need a lot of help, and most people in our industry are not willing to spend the time. And even further with millennials, those are people coming into the workforce, getting into their prime working years, starting to have a family. The things that they need in place, like life insurance or retirement plans and a good plan to get out of debt, people aren't sitting down with those folks. They don't know the resources and the means to how they do it. All of that to say, there is millions upon millions of people in this country that need help right now. And I can't help 150 million people on my own. So we do need room for growth. We do have room for growth. So what does that look like? Currently we have about 10,000 people within WealthWave throughout the entire country, and we're on a mission and crusade right now to get to 100,000 licensed professionals and what we call educators. So what a word that I would use for the business side of what we do would be disruption. We're here to completely disrupt the financial industry. What I mean by that is most people are just looking to cater to the wealthy. They're just looking to talk to their clients and at their clients. They're not looking to talk with their clients and meet them where they're at. And so we need licensed educators. We need people to come into the industry that have a heart of compassion and character of wanting to serve folks through education. And so we can teach that on the job. We work together hand in hand with people to get them trained and built up. As I've mentioned, I have a degree in financial services, and quite frankly, everything I do today has been learned since being on the job, not in the classroom. And so we're not trying to train you to become a financial advisor. We want you to be an educator and really service people. So we're needing to expand throughout the whole country. And we have a number of resources. So if you become an entrepreneur, you're every single branch of running a business. And part of that is marketing. We have a digital marketing system in place that's going to take care of all of that for you. We're able to partner together with one of the biggest marketing companies in the industry in the US that puts together all of the marketing materials you see, all of the social media posts, anything we need to get out into the public eye, they create that. I don't know how to do any of this. That is not my area of specialty. And so it's nice to partner with someone and help you along that process. And so someone can come on board with our team and immediately get word out there, immediately get education and information and visuals in front of people, even before they get licensed, and they can build awareness and get some momentum behind them of what they're doing. Next, the way that we run our business is completely different. And so I think most of the industry in the old days, and I was kind of coming into business here, it was the old way. It was getting together in person. It was, small groups of people, one person at a time. You've probably been to a steak dinner before where you go and listen to a 3-hour presentation. It's just not exciting. It's not fun, and it's not convenient at all. And so the way that we're really growing and expanding, the way we can scale and why we can do that is because we're moving into the digital age. And so a lot of what we're doing, and if we're doing group events or we're helping someone get going in business, it's no longer needing to be one person at a time or needing to be in person in a brick and mortar store. I love my office. However, it can take time to do that, but we want to make sure we're accelerating someone's business. And so we can really get in front of people and help someone get their business started much quicker than we used to in the past and get them results in a fraction of the time than it used to take. We want to sit there and work with them together. And with that, we have overlapping leadership, and the way our business is structured is we have multiple people pouring into one another. And so just like any company you might think that would be healthy, we have people that have been here 10, 20, 30, 40 years. We all want to work together and make sure everyone's growing successfully. We have in-person and digital events throughout the year where we're getting training, leadership, and different ways on how to grow our business and scale what we do and make sure we're continuing to grow in our profession. So you're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. I think that's a huge distinction. Someone doesn't come on board with us and we don't throw them in the water and hope they sink or swim. We're here to make sure that you are moving in the right direction as quickly as you can and want to. So ultimately, putting all of that in front of us here, the people that we want to talk to and the way that we want to talk to them moving forward, people would fall into one of 3 categories. So who we would want to be looking to talk to, obviously that first half of the presentation is becoming a client. So I think a lot of people are not getting the proper plan and service that they need in place. Most people, quite frankly, don't even have an advisor. And so they're missing out on a lot of ways to grow their assets, get debt paid down, and be more confident about their finances. So we want to talk to people that are looking for help in their personal financial journey. If that's you or someone we'd love to connect and have that conversation in another time. And then the other 2 would fall into becoming part of our E2E movement. And so some people say, hey, I like everything you just said. I like the mission. I like what's going on here, but I can't leave my current job. So what can we do? We want to help people become part-time. We're one of the only places in our entire industry that allow for someone to be completely independent and a full service advisor on a part-time basis. And so you can get all of the licenses needed and you can become completely fully licensed and a financial advisor. You can have all of the license in play and still be able to have your other job and be here part-time, and you can manage how that business is built. We work together with you to build a business plan to figure out if you're looking to exit your current role, when we'd want to do that, how do we want to get there, and we're going to work together with you. Some people start up with us full time, or at the very least, we build to a point where we can get you full time. And so all of that being said, I want that to be the people that we talk to. So maybe you fall into one of these categories, or maybe you know someone that could benefit from having a conversation with us about one of these topics. So, all right. Stop my presentation there. So that's how we would kind of cover the second half of the presentation. And what I'd say is, throughout that process, we would let the people that we're talking to engage in conversation. I would kind of pause on a couple different slides, ask them some questions, get a feel for where they're at. And we might even know coming into this, someone hates their job. They're looking to, hear more about that. Some people love their job. They don't really want to hear about it. And so we just present it in a way of, who do you know? But the goal is just getting that information out. If these people don't know that we are looking to expand, they won't think to tell us about that. So I'll leave my comments there. Any thoughts, questions, comments from you guys?
I think the only comment would be is like what I don't know. What's holding each of us back from having that conversation more? You know?
I agree. Yeah. What do you think would be, do you feel like you have a reason for yourself?
I think it's easy to probably point at pinning down like time, like that needs to pinning down time for the opportunity. But I think to move away from that mindset is more there's probably a lot more opportunities that face us, in our day to day than we give credit for, or that we pay attention to. So, just to be mindful of that. Maybe it's running these scenarios, through our heads more during some downtime to build a little bit more confidence in moving forward that, hey, I mean, I'm not telling anybody anything that's not true. I'm not telling anybody anything that I haven't experienced myself. It's literally just an opportunity that was bestowed upon me that I was grateful for, that I took advantage of, and I'm trying to do the same thing.
Mhm. Yeah. I know. I think for me, like the couple clients I just talked about, they said, "Hey, we want to talk about retirement money." And so it was easy to just focus on that and not think about anything else. And I can't help but think, I wonder if I just shared this with every person and just said, "Hey, there's two parts of what I do, and I want to show you a couple slides of information about the other half of what I do." I wonder if that would net out to getting some more results at all.
Well, what I do think it would do, I agree with you. I don't, I don't know that having the conversation with everyone is feasible. I don't really think it is, to be quite honest with you. I mean, you can kind of tell that some people they're very happy in their job or whatever, and so be it. But what I do think it would do is, for yourself, it would probably say, well, I don't have to wonder about it anymore. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Some people might say, yeah, I want to hear more about it, and some people won't. And really, at the end of the day, it's the same. If they say, no, I'm good, I like what I'm doing, then it's the same thing as, I mean, it's better than being
Yeah,
curious about it, you know?
yeah.
Take more swings. Unless you're Aaron Judge, because he can't hit, which is very evident right now.
Ryan, any comments from you at all outside of what we've talked about here?
It's I think it's all about taking the right swings too. You know, I think we can cast a pretty big net when it comes to finding clients, but when it comes to building our business, I think we have the right to be a little bit more selective in who we're, presenting to and ultimately giving these presentations. So identifying our minds first, like we've talked about in the past, but it probably deserves reiterating. We need to actually go through the mental exercise of identifying our ideal recruit. If you already said that, I apologize, but mentally we have to paint that picture so that we can see that person out there.
Mhm.
That's a skill that was talked about with Tom Brady and Brett Favre over all the other quarterbacks. They weren't necessarily more skilled than other quarterbacks. They just were better at finding open receivers. And so I think that's similar to recruiting is we gotta paint the picture of who do we want and then fix our eyes on that and it's all about making a focus. And like I said earlier, like sounds like as a team, we just haven't made it a focus. And so
Yeah.
that's the that's the reason we huddle up like this, talk about it openly, do our kumbaya and vow to make a better concerted effort to identify people and it's seed planning. I mean, there's a drip process just like clients, but yeah, I think it's just identifying it and being very intentional.
Yeah. Right.
All right, Don. So go get like 5 people next week.
Sounds good. Sounds good on it.
Great conversation, guys. I on purpose want to save some thoughts I have for next week because I think we're gonna take a deep dive into this on Saturday in Cincinnati, and I know most of you are going to be able to be there, and so we're gonna do a healthy recap of the content that was shared and some feelings and thoughts we all have from that event. And I just know I'm looking to get my vision augmented a bit and stretched a bit and clarify a few things, but I think we need to go into a new wave of recruiting and sharing that message, but being specific and targeted about it and being smart about it at the same time. I think we can do both. But that all also involves getting out of our comfort zones a bit and being a little bit more forward with our message. And I think we're going to get some fresh updates on marketing materials and how other guys are communicating our message down there. And I'm just really excited about that. So look for that next Tuesday. And I think it's going to be a great training.
Wonderful. All right. Well, we'll end here and we'll get back together here next week.
Have fun in Cincinnati.
We will have fun in the Caribbean.
I hope to. Thanks.
You will. See you, bud.
See ya.
Take care.